Uh, whoa. Got an echo. Hold on. What did you name it? ICP talk? Cool. All right. Give me a second here. We're just going to post some stuff and get moving here. We'll let it build up for a few minutes. How long do we have you for?
I've got ideally 30 minutes, but I can go a little bit over that if needed, like 45.
Okay.
50.
Okay. All right. So then that's cool. So we'll give it another 2 or 3 minutes. I should be all set up, and this should have a couple hundred people on, because the reality of it is probably 30 to 50% are going to be bots. At least that's how X works. So I want to have it build up a little bit to. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I guess there's no way of knowing, but I feel like there's a lot of bots in this platform. So, let's see here. How you been though? Everything good? Family's good? Life's good?
Yeah, man. Life is awesome. Everything's good. How about on your end?
Really good. Are you guys working?
Uh-oh. I think you just dropped out.
All right, hold on. Can I talk yet?
Yeah, you can talk.
Can you?
I hear now.
Oh, can you make it? Oh, everybody can hear us.
Yeah.
Hey guys, everybody can hear us now. So I guess we're gonna get started here in a minute. And after the stream, I got a question for you. It's kind of proprietary. I don't want everybody knowing about what we're doing yet, because I want to make sure when I tell you, you're going to be like, yeah, that's going to be really solid for what we're doing with ICP. I'll kind of talk a little bit about it, but I can't say the name of it just yet.
Okay.
I want to know if you've heard about what we're doing. Everybody will be on shortly. Give us about 2 more minutes. And we're here. Kyle, do you share your last name? I know it's on my screen here, but is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Some people are, So Kyle, just so you guys know, make sure you guys go ahead and share this. I know you guys can hear us now. You guys go ahead and share this. Kyle is head of data and analytics at ICP. He's been there for how many years now, Kyle?
2.5.
2.5 years. And where were you before?
I worked for a small vaccine company called Novavax.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to go live here. And we should be up in a minute. Data and all right, going live. Can you get this set up so everybody can see? They can see me and the screen here. Is that possible? If you got to do it over here.
Yeah, but they're not gonna really see.
That's okay. I want to be able to hear, so maybe just have them like this so they can hear. So, all right, cool. We're gonna get started here in a minute. Let's see here. Cancel this off. Can I cancel the Google Meet? We should be good, right?
Yeah, we're good now.
Okay, cool. Why is ICP not listed on Robinhood?
Let me know when I can turn the video on.
Oh yeah, we're good to go. All right, guys, let's get it started. So here we go. All right. So let me know in the chat if you guys can see me. Everything's good. You can hear us okay. Welcome. Kyle, thanks for being here again. We've done a couple of meetings. What I love about you, man, is you never say no. You're like, yeah, let's go. I'm down. When do you want to do it? When, where? And I'll get it done. And I'm sure that's how you treat your position at ICP, which is great. But anyways, I'll have you kind of introduce yourself a little bit. Kyle's head of data and analytics at ICP. And if you want to kind of explain a little bit about what you do, and then we're going to get into where ICP is going and any new cool updates that you have for us, that's cool with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to your first comment, this is fun, right? I'd rather do this than sit behind my computer doing heavy data analytics, right? I get to talk with interesting people, get to hear back from, what's going on outside of ICP and all that. So this is fun. But yeah, my day job is doing data and analytics. So understanding what's going on the ledger, understanding what is, understanding what are the growth metrics look like within ICP. I also this year have been kind of spearheading our Bitcoin integration, basically our how we're positioning our Bitcoin integration, working with a lot of other Bitcoin L2s on what kind of what can be built on the ICP tech stack that is useful as like a meta protocols like BRC20s, ordinals, runes, or other Bitcoin L2s. And then other than that, just really I'm pretty bullish and excited about ICP. So I just love to talk ICP with whoever wants to talk.
Let's go. So we'll have people that are going to be asking questions. And we're also, I know you can't see it, but we got about 430 people on TikTok watching, and that's just going to grow from here too. So they'll be asking questions back and forth. So my head will be all over the place, but that's awesome. So one of the big questions that I want to know is, where do you see ICP right now in terms of growth? Are you guys behind schedule, ahead of schedule? A lot of people in crypto, they base their decisions off of a project, off of price, off of market cap. And I don't think that's always the way to go. Sometimes projects do better than others at certain times, depending on the news, like Cardano as an example. Mm-hmm. Cardano came out of nowhere. It's been dead for years. And everybody now, all of a sudden it's like, it's the King Kong of blockchains, right? Because there's things happening. So with ICP, not too much price action, but I know you guys are building behind the scenes. And is there anything that you're like, this has actually been happening that's really cool, that you're like really excited about coming up or has already happened recently?
Yeah, I mean, I think, so we've always been ahead of the game, perhaps maybe even to a fault. So you can definitely see, I think what I would probably sum it up as 2024 was a year in which our core theses have proved out. So, when we went to mainnet, there's a lot of features that were on ICP that made ICP completely different than other blockchains. I mean, what we're trying to accomplish is different than like Ethereum or Solana or even Cardano, where we're trying to host full applications. Basically, we consider ourselves a competitor to AWS and a friend or a companion to every other blockchain, like bringing our capabilities to like Cardano or Solana or Ethereum or Bitcoin. So I think you've seen Coinbase copied our passkey technology. You see Near's copying our chain abstraction technology. You see Arweave launched their AO network, which is kind of a copy of our decentralized network. So anyways, all of that just kind of shows that I think we were way ahead, and now other players are starting to kind of validate for us that actually, yeah, what you guys were doing before is where the industry's headed. Sometimes it's tough to be way ahead.
Who said that was exactly what you just said was Vitalik Buterin from Ethereum. So Vitalik said years ago, this was back right when you guys launched, right? And everybody knows we'll talk about that if you're open to talking about that. Man, we might go, if you can go a little longer than 30 minutes, we got a lot to talk about, but we'll take what we can get. We might have to do this again. Because I think there's a lot that I have to ask you, but Vitalik said the same thing right around when you guys launched. He was like, I think, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, but essentially he's like, when it comes to blockchains out there, the only real competitor is ICP to Ethereum, right? And they're doing something completely different, essentially, is what he was saying. And he really praised Dominic Williams for how intelligent he is and how bold he is for going out and doing something that's really, you guys have created, I call it alien technology. Yeah. Meaning it's so far ahead of everybody else that no one can understand where it's going. Now, you did point out some key things. I saw that Sui was copying something, reverse gas fees.
Oh, yeah.
That's something that just came out, right? And you guys have been doing that forever. That's been your main thing, is that's our focus, because you can't build long-term on Ethereum if the prices are going to be, $150 for a transaction. It just doesn't work, right? So, and now I don't fully understand reverse gas fees to the technical. I know that it's definitely a lot more beneficial for transactions and for building, right? It makes it a lot cheaper is all that matters.
Well, the main thing about reverse gas is the developer pays the hosting fee. So think about when you use any internet service, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or it's Google or it's your local bank's website. They don't charge you a fraction of a penny to use their website. They pay their hosting costs, and then they offer it up as maybe a paid service, or somehow, or in Google's case, they farm your data for advertising. That's how everyone understands the internet is the internet. Like, you don't go around every website you use paying a fraction of a penny. But with the gas model in crypto, we've reversed that, where the users have to pay for gas, and they have to use for every interaction they want to do with the blockchain, they have to pay. And that's just a real limiting factor in terms of, you're not going to get the other 99% of the world onto blockchain if you're asking them to pay for things that they originally didn't like. That was just a bad user experience. So I think long run, the reverse gas is probably where everyone will try to get to. So it's great to see Sui, moving in that direction as well. And that's really the only way to get mass adoption, is to have a reverse gas model. So yeah, again, with our goal of like we want to compete with AWS. AWS doesn't charge you every time you try to use a website as a user. AWS charges their customer is the developer, and that's kind of the same model that we have. Oh, you're muted.
Hold on. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. No, you're right. And so here's a question though, and I know I don't know, how do I ask this? If you have other projects out there, not necessarily stealing, because I know at the end of the day, I mean, technology is technology. It's not proprietary to you guys. But how does that work in terms of competing, right? So we look at ICP, and I'll bring up something I was going to bring up earlier, and I'm not gonna talk about the actual name of it, but one of the big things that I think I've seen lacking, and I want to know if you have any news on this or what's going on, but if you're going to build on a platform, right, and you're obviously, your point of building an application on a platform, whether it's Solana or ICP or Ethereum or wherever, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, is to obviously have user growth, right? To generate income. Like, you don't work for free. None of us work for free. And what I'm finding is it's very difficult for people to find different projects on ICP that they can invest in. Not that they're not out there, but how do you buy them? Where it's simple to go on Coinbase. It's simple to go on Phantom Wallet, Uniswap, right? So me and some guys, I don't know, we'll talk about this after. I'm not going to say the name of it, but we're trying to make it like user friendly, where you can go in and it's as easy as a Uniswap or as easy as a Phantom Wallet to go trade tokens. So now you can invest in projects that are on ICP, right? And which will incentivize people to build on ICP, because now people can invest in their projects. And right now, my point is, it's very difficult to get there. The technology is great. We all know that. But have you guys had any advancements on that, bringing more adoption to ICP? Because ultimately, that's the biggest thing, is adoption.
Yeah,
I think everybody can agree.
Yeah. So let me go back to your question about the competitor or copying. We honestly don't see it as like a problem at all. Like, in fact, if anything, when you see something like Sui adopting the reverse gas model, or Near Protocol with their chain abstraction adopting, our chain key our threshold cryptography, all of that is just basically validating that we have been skating where the puck is the whole time. I think it's great for the industry. And these are all advances we made back in 2021, 2022. So yeah, we're ahead of it. And I think there's a fundamental, this is probably the part that's going to segue into your question, is there's a fundamental difference between what ICP is in our market and what most other blockchains are. Most other blockchains are aiming to get financial transactions back and forth. We're trying to disrupt the cloud hosting market, the Amazon Web Services, the Google Clouds and everything. We're not worried of let's say like a competitor, what you're calling a competitor chain copying our stuff and catching up, because their core structure of their core base tech stack is built for one thing, and they're not going to be able to pivot that to do what ICP is. And I think nobody's even going to try to do that. Actually, Dominic Williams made this point as he said, so he said it a lot better. He said, if you're trying to build a rocket ship, the point isn't starting with an airplane and trying to convert an airplane into a rocket ship. You just got to start from scratch. And that's what ICP did. Like Vitalik, that's why Vitalik has been very full of praise for ICP, is because it actually spawned out of the early days of Ethereum. When Ethereum kind of pivoted to what it is now, there's this concept of a world computer that was floating around in the Ethereum community. And so when Ethereum went one direction, Dominic Williams basically picked up the torch for that other direction. And I think that that's kind of like a key point to point out.
Okay, so one of the things that I tell everybody when I talk about ICP, I always explain to them, because there is a part of it where you're going to want adoption to people building on it, but that's not your focus, right? Your focus is, like you just said, word for word, and I tell my following all the time in my videos, what you guys aren't understanding is that ICP is not really trying to compete with everybody. Yeah, there's always going to be competition. Yes, they want more people building on their platform, but no one is doing what you're doing, right? No one in the crypto space. You're the only ones that are trying to compete with the likes of Amazon Web Services and others, right?
Yeah.
Like what you just said, right? And I told you guys, you guys are watching right now. I know there's a lot of you on right now watching. That's one of the big things that it's like, so when you think about ICP, you're like, okay, so what are they really doing? Like, what is the, when I talk to people, they're like, you can't really explain ICP like you can explain a layer one. Like this is the layer one's goal, like, or a DeFi project. They focus on just that. ICP is trying to be an entire internet almost. And I guess it's what would you say if you had to make it one sentence? What would you say ICP is trying to do? So I can easily talk about this with my following and say, hey, in 1 to 2 sentences, this is what they're doing versus others. If there's a simple way to look at it.
I mean, the phrase that I think has been great for when I explained it is, we want to be AWS without the A. So just the WS, right? So a decentralized cloud host. So that means hosting entire software on chain, front end, back end data. And then that software taking advantage of all the advantages of a blockchain rail. So, digital ownership, cheap financial rails, the ability to have transparency, cryptographical end-to-end rails, all of that kind of stuff worked into applications so that they can actually extend the internet into like an innovative space, build applicate. And I talk with developers a lot. And when they'll like describe a product to me, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, well, if your product could be built on Ethereum or Solana, you should just build it on Ethereum or Solana. Like, you don't need a rocket ship if a plane will work just fine. Or if your application can be built on AWS, build it on AWS. Like, the point of the internet computer is that you can build things that can't be built on anywhere else, whether it's AWS or Ethereum. And so it's like this whole playground, this whole innovative space where you can build things that can't be built anywhere else. Those are the applications we really want built on the internet computer, because we think that, going fast forward 5 years from now, the majority of the internet is going to be built on that. So, like, built in this innovative space.
So this is why you hear a lot of people in the crypto space that really like ICP, but they're like, I'm staking it for 8 years. Like, they're thinking down the road, right? And a lot of people are. I know a lot of people in ICP. You guys have a ton of tokens locked up, staked. I don't know that you probably know the number better than I do. It's decent though, from what I hear.
Yeah, it's over 26% of the supply is staked for 8 years. And
20. Did you guys hear that? 26% of the ICP supply is staked for over, you said 6 or 8 years? 8 years?
8 years. Yeah.
8 years, right? That's pretty crazy. That's impressive. Because people see that this technology is something that even if it doesn't perform crazy in terms of price right now, and it's in the future, this thing is going to be unreal. Like what you guys are building. I see it, and it's hard for most. I call them the normies in crypto that watch me, because I'm a pretty normal guy. I'm not a technological guy. A lot of the stuff you say goes through one ear and out the other, to be completely honest. But I can see the bigger picture, right? A lot of when I talk to devs, I'm like, okay, tell me the bigger picture, because I don't understand the analytics inside of it. Most of us don't, right? I would say 9 out of 10 people in crypto have no clue how to code, how all that stuff works. Anyways, you get my point. So long term, I see this project being very lucrative, but also I get what you guys are doing and competing in that space. Let me ask you, my next question is going to be, well, if you're competing with Amazon Web Services, what stops Amazon Web Services from doing what you're doing and just killing it altogether? Have you guys thought about that?
Of course. So that's like asking, Kodak back was the king of, pictures, right? What stopped them from getting into digital cameras is that to do it, they would have to kill their baby, right? Their cash cow. Amazon Web Services, to copy what we've done, they would have to give up like they'd have to just kill their entire business line. They would have to give up control. Like that's the biggest thing is ICP is this decentralized permissionless network that nobody controls. And it's almost impossible to convince a CEO of a company to say, let's take this thing that our market value is based on and give up control of it and let a decentralized body of people where anyone who wants to come and be part of this body can direct can give direction to where it goes. There's no CEO of ICP. There's no, there's no central corporate organization at all. So the CEO of Amazon would be giving up his job to do it. So yeah, it just doesn't work. There's like no way for Amazon to that's just a different, it's like asking an elephant to, fly, to drive a car or something like that. It's just two different things.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad I asked that question. I get that question a lot. And so that's that. You actually answered it a lot better than I would. I'm going to go into a couple of questions here that people are going to have.
Let me go back and just sum it up. Like I think the way I think about it is ICP's main competitor is innovation. Like as in, if there's a lack of innovation, if there's really no reason to build on a blockchain rail, like the cheap financial transactions or the ability for a person to own their data or own their code or own whatever, or if there's no reason for a person to have for AI to be tamper proof, like these are all innovative ideas. And if there's no product market fit there, then there's no reason for ICP to exist. ICP is definitely a play on innovation and the fact that the internet is not going to be static. Like the internet of 2024 is not going to be the internet of 2028. And so if you believe that, yes, the internet is going to continue to innovate,
1,000%.
It's going to happen on ICP.
1,000%. I think you brought up a good point. Like AI is going to change this entire world. The financial system's going all blockchain. Everything we do is going all blockchain. I don't care if it's you're buying a soda at a gas station, it's going to be recorded on a blockchain, right? Like that is coming. So, when you talk about, is the internet going to be something that really we can't even understand in the future? Like think about this as an example. Let's go back to the 70s, and me and you are talking about what we're talking about today. Back in the 70s, we both would look at each other like, what the fuck, this guy's crazy. Like I really would have thought you may have been from the future, like you figured it out, right? Because if we told you what the world looked like 50 years ago, even 20, no joke, you go back 20 years, you're like, damn, I didn't see that coming. And so ICP is anticipating stuff like that is kind of what I picked up on. What you're saying there.
I say, think about the internet, right? So what, like the websites that you're going to use the most on the internet, or even just the services, is like, let's say social media. Well, social media really got shaped in like 2005 to 2010. Gig economy, Uber and TaskRabbit and all these other apps, Airbnb, those were like 2008, 2009. You had SaaS software. So like if on the enterprise level, the fact that software now is offered as a service, that was like 2010. But what major verticals have came in the last, let's say 10, 15 years? Like ChatGPT was revolutionary for sure. But other than an LLM, like the internet got kind of stale for about a decade there. And that's, I think, the problem, the true problem that ICP is trying to address is like, look, we need new innovation on the internet.
That makes sense. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, I get it. And I've been telling my following, guys, be patient with this project because again, they're doing something that we don't even understand yet. It's like you can explain it, but what you just said is very key, that like there's going to be things that are going to be happening with this technology that we don't even know yet. We're so early. And I like the fact that you brought up that where, the internet got stagnant because it did. Like what's the next iteration to the internet, right? What comes after the internet? Is it just being able to create, on a blockchain, an application or a payment rail, right? A store of value, or is it something that we don't even know yet? And you can't do on the current internet. The other side of it is last time we talked, you brought something up to me that I didn't understand, and now I do. When you said, I'm not trying to be a competitor, right? And we kind of just clarified that you still want to compete. You want to have people, obviously, it's everything's a competition in life. Any business, you want to be where people are going to go to build and use, and right? But explaining it that way where you're like, Tyler, it's not just applications. right? It's so much more. I guess where I'm going with that is people are having a hard time understanding that. And that's why we're here to talk about that. I guess my thing here, there's a couple of questions I want to get into here that I think people are going to really like. Do you mind if I go into it over here on my TikTok? All right, let's do that. Give me a second. So hold on. A lot of price questions. You want to give some price action, Kyle?
Yeah. I mean, at Definity, we tend to not want to talk price.
I know. Hold on. Let's
too
see
many,
here.
too fraught, and that's honestly not. Yeah, that's not an area that's exciting, anyways. We're very.
No, I get it. A lot of it. It's so funny. It's so funny when you think about crypto, and obviously I just talk very freely on these. It's just we're just gonna have a conversation, and there's gonna be some good clips that come out of it, some good info, right? But I look at my comments and everybody's so focused. This is how I know we're on to something with ICP. They're always so focused on the price, and they don't even care what the technology is. That's where we are in crypto. That's how early we are, right?
Yeah.
But that's how normie some people are in this space. It's actually really funny to me because there's so much more that's going to be happening here. Let's see here. Hold on.
I see one question on X from After Hours Finance asking ICP not listed on AI. Yep, that one. So that was, I assume they haven't checked recently or even like the last 2 months. I think CoinMarketCap added back our AI tag. And that was just, they changed their definition for what an AI chain is. And we had to kind of go through their process again to get that tag back. What was happening was every L1 was an AI. And so they just took them all off and said, okay, now everyone's got to go through again.
Where are you guys going with AI? I know that's a big thing that's coming up. Yeah. That's a question that just got asked in here. That's one I was looking for. It had something to do with AI. Yeah, where do you guys see yourself going with that? Because everybody says they have AI now, right? Like, what is actually going on? Because I hear a lot of people, just like as a content creator, you have people that love you and people that hate you. Just your project, people that hate on it and that love it, right? And you got these people that say, "Oh, they're just saying they're doing AI." What are you guys actually doing?
Yeah. So, yeah, honestly, AI. There's, it's one of these areas where everyone says they do AI, but almost nobody does. I would say the only legit projects doing AI are the tokenized GPU access, because that's a hardware play of you go around and you grab some like a decentralized group of GPUs, and then you tokenize access to that. So like if you're trying to train an AI model, you can access that hardware to do the training by spending whatever the token is. So that's like a legit use of AI and crypto. Every other use case, except for what's going on ICP, is just bonk. Really, it's like an AI application that lives on Web 2, and then they maybe created a token to represent it, but it's the two separate things. Our play on AI is, again, being in a decentralized cloud. Like we went out and to host, to compete with Amazon, you have to have incredible performance specs for your network. And so all the way back in 2016, that was our goal, incredible performance specs. When AI took off 2 years ago, that actually panned out really great because now we could host an AI model. And what I mean by that is, so there's a couple parts to AI. One is training. So you gather all this data, you throw it into an algorithm, and it's going to do training. It's going to create a model out of that. We can't do training on the internet computer. No blockchain's going to be able to do it. We'll probably be still maybe at least another year off before we can do training. However, that model gets produced, and then that's called an inference engine when you host it, so that a user can then ask questions. So like when you're interacting with ChatGPT, you're interacting with the inference engine. So think of the inference engine as like somebody trained a model, and now it's this block of model that you can now put prompts into, and it'll answer your prompts coming back. You can host an inference engine on the internet computer. There's a lot of people who are exploring that. We know it's feasible. A lot of people have done some pretty impressive models on the internet computer. What people are starting to do now is explore, okay, what's the product here? Like, why would you host an inference engine on chain? And the couple of use cases that are starting to get some traction are, one is tamper-proof models. So if you think about, if you have an AI agent, that is extremely valuable. The use case I always say is, so Coke actually has a Coke GPT. So it's a chat GPT for only Coke employees trained on Coke's data. And I think every enterprise is going to have one of these AI agents that their employees interact with. Well, that's a honeypot for any kind of like corporate espionage. You know, Pepsi ever got access to that, and they could get it to either give incorrect answers, or even just kind of give Pepsi the trade secrets, you know, like what are, you know,
Yeah.
like what's their marketing strategy for the next 3 months, kind of a thing. So that's what we think tamper-proof AI is going to be huge. So any valuable AI agent will want to be on a blockchain because it's more secure and because it can't be tampered with. So that's one use case. The second use case that I find actually really, really interesting, is having AI agents. If you believe, which I think most of the industry, as in the AI industry, is moving towards this idea that like actually AI agents are going to be ubiquitous. Like I'll have my own agent trained on my own data, like my own emails and my own text messages and all that. So it thinks like me and talks like me, and then it conducts business on my behalf. So maybe it books my airfare, maybe it talks to my wife's AI agent to coordinate something, maybe it, you know, when I apply for a job, my agent's the one who's actually interacting with the HR department, all of that kind of stuff. If you want that AI agent to do financial transactions on your behalf, AI is not going to want to use a credit card or like the traditional financial rails. It's going to want near instant finality. So it can basically make the transaction, get the reply back that the transaction has been confirmed, and move on. So it's almost certainly going to happen on crypto rails. But to share your private key with an AI agent, you're going to want to make sure that that AI is actually running in a smart contract that you can control. Because if it's not, you're basically sharing your private keys with, you know, Microsoft or with OpenAI or with Google, and with the engineers who work at those companies. Which, if you have a lot of Bitcoin and it's transacting your Bitcoin for you, you probably don't want all these extra parties involved in that. And then I think that might be a use case where AI agents are actually sending crypto back and forth to each other or to other companies. I could see that being a pretty big use case. And there's a couple of people who are kind of like playing around with it and just kind of seeing, you know, we're at that really like mess around stage. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
That's really interesting. That seems to be, I mean, I would think that's very valuable. I mean, that last part that you said is what really caught me. If you can figure out how to make sure that you can still share your private information, your keys, but you know that it's not going anywhere, because, well, who knows what happens with AI in the future, right? Who knows? AI starts having a mind of its own, you know, and there goes your Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Bye.
And it really is just kind of combining, you know, we call it chain fusion, is this idea of ICP smart contracts able to sign transactions on other blockchains. Originally, we kind of thought of it as, hey, AI, ICP is really good at like data storage. It's really good at doing computation. And so if we can have our smart contracts sign Bitcoin transactions or read the Bitcoin state or Ethereum or Cardano or Solana, then you could actually build just part of an application on ICP, but keep your original application on, you know, Ethereum or Cardano or whatever. And that now brings all the ICP superpowers to Cardano or to Solana or Ethereum or any other L2 or something like that. That was our original plan for chain fusion. But then when AI launched, it was like, oh, actually that same technology can make ICP an AI layer to every blockchain. And so like those use cases are having an AI agent that can sign transactions on your behalf. You could have an AI agent on ICP that facilitates swaps for you. Like maybe it's a trading AI and it's actually just swapping Bitcoin for Ethereum or whatever based on some, you know, whatever it's been trained to do. So.
Okay. No, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's actually really, we're gonna have to do a video on that because that's really cool. Let me ask you this. So last time we talked, it was in Denver, actually, at ETH Denver.
Yeah.
We met up. And it looks like, am I still frozen? We're good. All right, sorry. So we met at ETH Denver, and we were talking about how ICP wants to kind of bridge different cryptos, not really compete, right? ultimately, bridge everybody. So have you guys had discussion? I've seen articles where ICP is going to be integrating with Solana or something. I don't know how real that is. Can you go back to the double screen? I don't know how real that is or where we are with that. I know you guys have been kind of working with Bitcoin. Can you elaborate a little bit on I guess here's a couple questions. Number one is, are you like talking to different developers that are at Solana or whoever created Solana on, hey, how do we integrate together? That's the first question. Let's go there because I've seen articles on that. I want to know if it's true.
Well, the nice thing about blockchain and just public services is that anyone can kind of build on top. So we don't have to talk with like the Solana Foundation, although we do, because obviously like there's benefits to Solana with bringing like ICP. Like a Solana app can take it once we complete the integration, which is on the roadmap for early 2025. Once we complete that integration, then a Solana developer can utilize small parts of ICP that they can't do on Solana, and they can do it without having to take their app off Solana. Like that's a key difference, right? Is most of these L1s are trying to fight for developers and bring them one way or another. With the Chain Fusion technology, we can say like, look, we're not Solana, we're not trying to steal your devs. Like we're just trying to provide it so that they can actually build, like they can build additional features into their products, leveraging the ICP tech stack. In a weird way, it kind of makes it a more of an even playing field between like, let's say Solana ecosystem and Ethereum ecosystem. So, because everyone can have access to it.
How's that conversation going?
It goes pretty well. I love these conversations because you can talk high level with like various people at the Solana Foundation, but then you can go into like the individual like apps on Solana, or same with Ethereum, going to Ethereum apps. When I was out in Las Vegas at the Rare Evo conference, I met a lot of Cardano developers, just kind of talking through like what they're interested in. And there's just different features that they would be interested in. So like Solana specifically, devs are really interested in bringing Bitcoin onto Solana in a way that doesn't require them to have liquidity constraints. And so a good example will be like using ICP's Bitcoin integration. You could bring Bitcoin, like a bridged Bitcoin, either onto Solana or any other chain, in a way that a user of any app can go back to Bitcoin, back and forth in a permissionless way. And so that prevents, with some of the problems you see with like TBTC or WBTC on other chains, is that it's permissioned pegging in and pegging out. And so the amount of Bitcoin that exists, of wrapped Bitcoin, is limited by whatever the organization is doing and whether or not they can find more Bitcoin or not. You can use ICP to get around those limitations. The Bitcoin side of stuff, like with the meta protocols like BRC20s and runes, ordinals, ICP is like a phenomenal layer zero. And so the more we talk with like some of the foundations that are building on Bitcoin and the other L2s and side chains, like the more that we see like, they're like, we've been having this problem with like being able to like index ordinals. Like we're like, actually ICP can hold the entire Bitcoin state, and now you can index your ordinals in a decentralized fashion. Those kind of conversations have been really interesting as well.
That's cool. Okay.
And I would say like Bitcoin is really, we've seen a lot of major projects building on ICP. Some of them have announced, some of them plan to announce, but there's a lot that are like, look, like in the same way, your local bank may not announce that it built its website on AWS. Like, why would that matter?
Yeah, why does it matter? Yeah, I get that. Well, so I love that you just said that, because I've been seeing a lot of this, conversation with Solana Foundation, the devs over there, right? Just devs that are building on Solana in general from different projects. And I'm glad you just clarified that those conversations are happening. Whether it's turning into something just yet, that doesn't matter. I mean, we're all still very early in the space. Let's be real. Like what is really being built on Solana outside of meme coins? Like, we're so early.
If you have so there's an interesting thing. We probably need to we as an industry need to get away with this, or away from this, but the tribalism where like a Solana app is competing with other Solana apps for Solana customers, and customers don't jump change that often. What I'm noticing, so like on Ethereum, I'm noticing that especially if like you built an app and your customer base is a specific ecosystem, then you probably aren't going to advertise that you built some of your infrastructure on ICP, because that there's just like PvP, why would you do that? You're a trader now, kind of a thing. And so, which is fine. Like, I personally is like, look, you're running a business, build something on ICP, whether you say it's on ICP or not, is a business decision, and run your business, be successful. And then that's how our industry succeeds, is by people actually treating their apps like a business and having them become successful. So
that's awesome. Let me ask you this. I know this isn't your sector, and I need to get in touch with somebody. Maybe you can help me off stream here, but I do have a question from Jack. He wants to know, what about your advertising? I know you're head of analytics, data, stuff like that, and that's kind of out of your realm. But I have been hearing that you're vamping your advertising. There's a lot of changes happening behind scenes. I think one of the biggest things from what I heard is, because when you talk to a dev, you talk to somebody like, Dominic Williams, or yourself. This has nothing to do. That's funny. That's funny.
I saw that. I got a kick out of that.
Sorry, I had to. That's a funny comment. But the reality of it, I guess, is when you talk to a dev, they see the world differently than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
They're computer focused, right? It's a different brain, different way of life, thought, everything. And then you got to think back down to the normies. How do you get in front of everybody else to understand a project? And I know you guys have been changing that. So any news on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure Dfinity has been ramping up our advertising of ICP. We tend to be more developer focused, so going more to like developer conferences and that kind of stuff. Like, we see developers as our customer. But that being said, one of the big changes is, over the last year, we've really invested into ICP hubs, which is a more localized approach. So I think now we have like 37 hubs throughout the world. And the hubs are much more autonomous away from Dfinity, and much more able to kind of like focus on like the regional needs at the time, and build more of a local in-person presence. And so that's been a huge effort from us. We've also we used to be a lot more Ethereum focused on our advertising and presence at like conferences. We've done a lot more Bitcoin recently, and as well as just going to more general crypto conferences. And then the third one I would say is like focused on actually getting in at like cybersecurity conferences and key opinion leaders, more like enterprise level stuff, government, state and local and national government level stuff. So yeah, we've definitely broadened it out, and in a lot of different ways.
So this is what I take out of it is, guys, understand that ICP's advertising is they're not trying to advertise because the only thing that's important is that the price goes up, right? I would say, because that's all people care about. I hate it and I love it. We all want to make money, cool, but they have a longer term approach than most. Excuse me. And when you talk about how you guys are advertising, yeah, that'll bring awareness and usage and stuff like that. But really, you're trying to build this brand on a different level than just, hey, let's get it out to as many people as possible so they can buy ICP and the price goes up. No, let's get it out in front of the right people that are actually going to use our product and help us grow and expand. And over time, price will come. It's kind of a different mindset to advertising, is what I'm picking up. And I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. Again, if I have to wait 8 years for this to make me, $20 million, oh my God, big deal. Right. So I just wanted to bring that up because it's a good question somebody had there. Well, I know you don't have a ton more time. I want to see if there's any other questions. I actually want to go into one more thing if you're cool with it.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. You bring that up. We're going to go back to that. So how do I ask this question, or how do I bring this up in a way where everybody will understand? So, and you'll get this, but for everybody else that's watching live right now. So when you think about Bitcoin's probably the most well-known crypto, right? And investors, they're more apt to buy Bitcoin. And you know, the 50-year-old man, the 60-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old, the billionaires, the decamillionaires of the world, the corporations, they're more apt to buy Bitcoin first. That's how they kind of get in, right? Whereas you talk about a normal everyday person, they're probably buying a meme coin. Let's be real. That's their gateway. Bitcoin's the gateway to institutions to get into crypto. So one of the things I want to point out that you were saying, Kyle, and I want you to elaborate a little bit more on what you guys are doing with Bitcoin and explain that a little bit more, is and break it down as easy as possible for if you're talking to somebody like my mother or my grandmother on what you're building on Bitcoin. But this is very key for you guys to understand, because where the money is going to go first and the big money is going to go is Bitcoin. And if these people that are worth hundreds of millions and billions and trillions of dollars in governments, they see what's being built on Bitcoin and who's working with Bitcoin to make Bitcoin better, to make the layer 2s on Bitcoin better, to make Bitcoin faster, to make Bitcoin more scalable. If somebody like ICP is helping with that, a lot of that money eventually will take more risk there than somewhere else. I truly think, because you're staying within the Bitcoin ecosystem, it becomes familiar. So can you elaborate a little bit more on what you're doing with Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, and this, I don't know that I would say this is Definity's opinion, but certainly my opinion is that crypto is definitely returning back to, you know, the OG. You see it in all the data I look at, is that essentially the number of Bitcoin L2s and how good they are has exploded in the last year and a half. And because of that, you're seeing all of this development activity that, you know, if you had an Ethereum app, you at least want to have, you want to be able to take Bitcoin, you know, like, or if you had a Solana app, again, like a big conversation on Solana with Solana devs is, how do we get more Bitcoin on Solana? Because everyone is recognizing that, hey, Bitcoin is like 60% of the crypto market. It by itself has got 60% of the market cap. ICP's role is really two things. First and foremost, we want to be a layer 0. And what that means is, when you think about all the great things that ICP is good at, like storing large amounts of data, hosting a front end on chain, being able to call Web 2 API services without the need for an Oracle, massive computation, AI, all of those like key features of the internet computer, we want to bring those to Bitcoin. So ICP has a layer 0. One of the nice things about that is that by approaching it that way, we actually bring these features to all the Bitcoin L2s as well, and side chains and meta protocols. And so we can bring value to basically the entire Bitcoin ecosystem, both the mainnet and the side chains. And then we're also starting to see a lot of people who just build their app on, as like a layer 2, build their app on ICP. It's a Bitcoin specific app, but they just built it on ICP because ICP has this native integration with Bitcoin. They love that feature, and so they build it. You're seeing like Tap Protocol is a big name. They built this like the ability to actually do like a native swap on the Bitcoin main chain by using ICP smart contracts, which is just like a mind-blowing, like, so now so essentially what they launched was they call it Taparoo. It's a swap application. So think Uniswap, but on Bitcoin mainnet. And even if they rugged and ran away, you can still swap back on mainnet Bitcoin, which is just such a cool. So it's like, so they can't rug, essentially is what it is. It's a really cool feature. Ordinox is another project that's a big team who's using ICP as a liquidity layer. So basically making it so that Bitcoin can move amongst all chains back and forth real easy. You see Omnity Network has also built this incredible liquidity layer, and they're starting to play around with AI in that space. So these big, impressive teams are really like innovating on top of Bitcoin. And if you held like a gun to my head and said, pick who the big winner is going to be in the next 5 years, it's still going to be Bitcoin. I do think that, Ethereum's got the network effects, which is great. Network effects are hard to compete with. Solana has the transaction volume that's been phenomenal. But I think as Bitcoin start to see less as like a boomer coin, and actually people start to see all the innovation being built on top of it, I think there is going to be a slow drain of developers back towards Bitcoin. and you're going to see the Bitcoin ecosystem. It's no longer going to be like the boomer coin. You buy it, you put it in cold storage, but you're going to see people actually using it in all sorts of different applications.
That's when Satoshis become a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Buying in Satoshis, selling in Satoshis and stuff. We're still a little ways away from that, but I agree. No, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys are trying to work. You're seeing that, and this it's just one of those things where I just tell everybody, and I lose sleep overnight with this. Like these people, these questions they ask, I really do. I'm like, damn, I wish people understood what these guys are doing long term. And it's like, but at the same time, sometimes you can't understand it because you guys don't know where things are going. You just know that you're building a technology that's going to be able to work with all these new things coming in this space. It's just so different from what anybody else is doing. And I'm like, I look at all these projects, and I invest in Cardano and I invest in Solana. Rachel buys a bunch of Solana. Avalanche and Sui and all these, and I'm like, but they all kind of do the same thing. There's no different. This all I do this one little thing that's different, this one little thing that's different, and we have more total value locked than you do, and this and that. But it's like, y'all, you're all competing in the same space. You guys have no competitors. You can't even people ask me, and I'm glad we asked that question when you talk about Amazon, right? Like, well, isn't Amazon going to compete with them? And it's like, your answer was amazing. Like that, I'm going to use that. I'm going to do a video on that. That makes total sense. Is Amazon going to completely revamp their entire business model that's making $1 trillion a year, whatever the numbers are, right? Probably not. And so it gives you guys a lot of a big head start, put it that way,
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if there's anybody have another question, anything quick? And if not, I'm going to let them go. Is it too late to buy ICP? That's the last question on here.
Well, I don't want to give any financial advice, but again, our mindset is like a 20-year roadmap. We're on year 3 of that 20-year roadmap. So,
wow, hear that? Okay, so in this is what I'll leave you guys with, and Kyle can nod his head yes or no if he agrees. But what he just said, they're on year 3 of a 20-year roadmap, and imagine if you're sitting here today, right? And we're talking about you're creating Google or Amazon or something that big. And I've always told people that's what ICP is doing. They're going to be a Google, an Amazon, a Microsoft, a Tesla. Not the same business, right? But they're going to be that kind of big, or they're going to be nothing. It's either going to be something that everybody's using. This is my opinion, where everybody's using, and it's something that you don't even know that you're using it when you're using different applications in life. You don't even know it's there, right? Just like you don't know that Amazon Web Services is hosting your website or the website that you're on, like just like you just said. So this is a project that's going to be massive in 10, 15 years. If you were sitting here with me and we're talking about Amazon, would you have bought Amazon? That's the question. The answer is probably yes. So, but not financial advice, just giving you guys a scenario. And you guys make your own decision there. So, all right, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate for you being here. Like always, I want to do this again. Next time we'll get a list of a bunch of questions from the actual audience. And sound good.
Yeah, this was awesome. I love the show and love the audience. I thought the conversation was phenomenal. I do this every day of the week if you'll have me. So.
Yeah, well, hey, man. I think I'll take you up on that. We'll try to do it at least once a month. And just give people updates on what's going on, because like I said, the biggest thing for me, I understand where ICP is going in the big picture. I saw crypto 10 years ago, but a lot of the stuff I can't regurgitate it back to people. I have a hard time explaining it, but I understand it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So this will be great for my following to see more of. And I think they will appreciate this as well. So they said ICP to $100. Let's go. That'll be nice.
I'll take
cool.
it. Take it.
Well, we're gonna knock the live off here. Let me know when we're good, and then I got a question for you.